Hey guys, it's Penguin here, and welcome back to another gold making video. In this video, I will be going over everything that we know so far about 9.2 and exactly what this means to you and what you can do in order to prepare yourself for this patch to come. Now, this video is recorded on December 20th, so we still do not know a lot of stuff about 9.2, and hopefully we have those answers in the next few weeks, but because of that, if you are watching this video at a later date and something is not included, just know that this was recorded on December 20th. Also, before I get into this video, I just want to wish everybody a happy holiday. I hope your week is awesome, and once again, thank you so much for watching and clicking on this video. But what I will be going over is everything you need to know in terms of gold making in 9.2 and exactly what you can do with this information. Now, I know a lot of people have been talking about 9.2, but I feel like a lot of the information has just kind of been thrown out there, but not a lot of stuff is talked about exactly about how this is going to be useful. So hopefully this gives you a little bit better idea, and we're going to get right into it. So the first simple stuff that we have is a whole lot of new materials coming with the new zone. So in this new zone, there is a wide variety of materials which you can gather, but there's basically one for every single category. So there is a new cloth, a new piece of leather, a new ore and herb, a new meat and fish, and lastly, there is also a new quartzite crystal-like item, which is the Progenitor Essentia, which we'll be talking about a little bit later. But on screen now will be the names of these new items, and basically they are just, gained from either killing and skinning things in the area, dropped by different humanoids, or, gathered in the new zone. And these are all used for the new crafting items. Now, one thing that we have just found out is that flying is 100% confirmed, and it will take about 15 days to complete. The reason for this is that in order to unlock flying, you have to complete all of the cipher of the first one's research, and there's an achievement that comes along with that, and it takes about 15 days in order to complete all tiers of the research. So, we do not exactly know if that is account-wide or not. That is not confirmed, but from past expansions and past patches, we can probably assume that it is account-wide, and let's hope it is. But in that case, we will probably have about 2 weeks or so of not flying, so that is when those herbs and ores and everything is going to probably be the most expensive, and as flying is unlocked and a lot more people are flying and gathering, we will see those prices start to drop. So if you are somebody who does want to get into gathering and you really can't be bothered to run around, then you only have to wait about 2 weeks to get yourself flying. Moving on, we have the new Crafter's Marks, which are pretty simple. There is the new Crafter's Marks 4, which basically takes place of the Crafter's Marks 3 that we currently have, and this brings items to item level 237. And then we have the Crafter's Marks of the first ones, which is basically the same thing as the current Crafter's Marks of the Chained Isle, which once again is uniquely equipable, so you can only have one at a time, and that is eye level 263. Now, both of these do require level 60, so like I said, these are basically the exact same copies of the current high-level Crafter's Marks that we have, yet again, just at the higher item level. Now, we do not know exactly how these are unlocked, but we do have the new reputation called the Enlightened, so it can probably be assumed that at least one of these Crafter's Marks is gotten through this reputation, and another one is probably through other time-gated activities. Of course, this is not confirmed, but how we saw in Korthia, with the Honors Advanced as well as the other reputation, it's probably along those similar lines. Of course, these Crafter's Marks are still for tailoring, leatherworking, blacksmithing, and jewelry crafting, so if you do not have those, be sure to have those professions ready to go on a level 60 in order to get this content finished so you can unlock these Crafter's Marks. Now, the next thing we have is new optional reagents, which are actually pretty unique. Now, the usage of optional reagents are not new. The crafter's marks themselves are optional reagents. We also currently have the missives that give certain stats, but these optional reagents are a little bit different in terms that they give a unique ability. What I mean by this is one might give an increased mount speed, while others might increase the flask or potion duration on that character if they're wearing this piece of armor. Now, a full list of exactly the different ones and what they do will be on screen now, but these are covered in 4 different professions. In alchemy, enchanting, engineering, and jewel crafting, each of these 4 professions will have 2 optional reagents for a total of 8. Now, the cool thing about this is this kind of evens out these professions with the other ones. Now, jewel crafting is an exception because it also has legendary rings and necklaces, but for a profession like tailoring, which has legendaries and the different crafter's marks, the fact that enchanting or alchemy is also getting their own unique crafting reagents is pretty cool, and hopefully that will bring up the value of that profession as well. Now, it will be interesting to see how it works out with these, since these are optional reagents, which means it's only applicable to crafted gear or gear that's about to be crafted, which means we are very limited to the item level. For example, if we are crafting these with the new mark, then the highest item level we can get is 263. And because of this will not be able to be applied to the super good item level, so it will be interesting to see how many people are truly going to use these reagents. Now, moving on, like we all probably know by now, we do have the new rank legendaries. And this rank legendary uses the Vestige of the Eternal, which is basically the same thing as our current Vestige, however, it gives +3 ranks instead of +2. So you apply this to a rank 4 base legendary, and you get the new rank 7 legendary, which will currently be the highest that you can get in 9.2. The only difference in this is, of course, how the Vestige is crafted. It has a different crafting recipe, and it uses the Progenitor Essentia, which is the new Quartzite Crystal-like item. Now, the interesting thing is that the Vestige itself requires a lot less Progenitor Essentia than Quartzite crystals. For example, the current Vestiges, require 40, and the new Vestige does not. However, this Progenitor Essentia is also used in the crafter's marks of the first ones. And because of that, that means that we might also see a scarcity with this item. Even though we need a lot less for the Vestiges, we also need these for the crafter's marks, and people generally sell a lot of the different marks. So it'll be interesting to see how the market goes, but thankfully the Progenitor Essentias is tradable and auctionable. Now, this does leave us all with the question with a lot of people have been asking is legendaries, should I level them up? Are they worth it? And just off the bat, I'm going to say yes, they will be worth it. If you think about it, if you guys were a legendary crafter or saw people who were legendary crafters at the start of 9.1.5, where everybody, could kind of swap their legendary out, get refunds for their soul ash, and all of that. We saw a huge increase of rank 6 legendary sales at the start, and the amount of gold people were making were insane. And, as the new patch comes out and new 9.2 comes out with the new rank, people will basically see that wave all over again with the new item. Now, of course, this does lead to the fact about how exactly should I level legendaries, because I want to do it, but I have nothing leveled. And because of that, there are 3 routes you can take. Now, there is, no best way. That is strictly personal preference, but I will go over 3 different ways in which you can kind of approach legendaries. Now, if you do want a more detailed information about this, I do have a video called Are Legendaries Still Worth It? And I highly recommend you check out that video. It is kind of old. It was for 9.1.5, but the information and the strategy is still 100% relevant. But the first way you can think about legendaries is going by most profitable. So this is super simple. You just go onto your auction house. Let's say you want to level up tailoring. You look it up and see that the chest piece is selling for the highest amount of gold and for the most profit. Then you simply level up the chest plate first, either sell a few, or if you have a lot of gold, then go for the next one, and once you can afford it, go for the third highest, and so on and so forth. So basically, you're valuing profit over sell rate. The second method you can go for is going by current best in slot. What that means is if you were going for tailoring, for example, the first piece that you would want to go for is the cape. The reason for that is that it is currently the best in slot cloth piece, so you would level up the cape, sell it, and then as soon as you get more, you will go for the next piece in line, and so on and so forth. You will probably get a lot more sales up front and everything with these capes compared to, going with the robe first. However, the profit might not be there. For example, robes on your server might be making 20k profit, but the cape is only making 10k. However, you will probably sell a lot more capes. So if you are somebody who wants to value sell rate over profit, then you can go with this method. Then the last method is more for the people who have a lot more gold currently and is waiting for the more long-term investment, which is go by the 9.2 best in slots. Now, this is the hardest method to go for right now because we currently do not know the best 9.2 best in slot pieces yet. However, you can kind of infer and you can go from there. For example, there are tier sets coming back, which will basically be the replacement for the current domination gear, and these tier sets, there will probably be 5 different equipable pieces, and you will need to wear 4 of them in order to get your class bonus. So 4 slots, depending on your class, which slots they are, all of these will be automatically taken by the tier set, which will kind of change the best in slots for all of these classes. However, we don't know exactly what class is going to be using what slots, so that is where the hard part comes in. So if you do want to go for this method, possibly wait until we have a little bit more information, or completely avoid all of these slots together to make sure you're not leveling up any of them. Now, 2 more good things to note about legendaries is that we are able to equip 2 of them in 9.2. One must be a Covenant legendary and one can be anything else. So that's cool, people will be able to wear 2. The second thing is that everybody will be able to obtain and get a legendary belt, which has a specific memory attached to it. But because of that, we may see a lot less belt sales because everybody is either wearing or, utilizing this memory in a different slot, and, not a lot of people will probably buy belts. So if you are going for that third method, which is the go by 9.2 best in slot, then possibly avoid the belt altogether. Now, if you guys ask what I personally suggest, I would generally say go for the most profitable. If you are somebody who's trying to get into legendaries and does not have a lot of gold, how much profit and how fast you can get gold will probably dictate how many you can level up before 9.2. So even if some of these pieces aren't the fastest sellers, between the, best in slot piece, hopefully you're making enough profit in order to get more gold with the, fewer sales. Of course, this is strictly down to personal preference, and you kind of have to compare, the best in slot pieces to the most profitable, and hopefully they align together. For example, the best in slot for cloth is the cape, and luckily the cape is also the most profitable on my server, so that kind of gets you a win-win. Then moving on, we just have these simple type of items. Now sadly, we don't have a lot of new just basic recipes, which I'm a little disappointed at, but we have the new alchemy potion, which is simply just a new healing potion, which uses the new herb. Then we have the new Vantis rune, which goes along with the new raid, and we also have the new contract, which goes along with the new reputation, which is the enlightened. Both of those are inscription, so if you do have an inscriptionist that does, actively do current content, you do have a Vantis rune and a contract to, use to your advantage. Then the last kind of item that we have for professions is the cooking recipe, which is a new feast. Now this feast is unique as it is pretty cheap to craft. However, when people place it down, everybody has to basically put in different cooking items into the pot to make their feast. So because of that, it will be interesting to see what is the best items to add to the feast and see kind of what the sell rates do. So the feast itself might not be super expensive, but depending on the best fish or the best meat to add to the feast, we may see sell rates and prices go up for those items. But yeah, guys, that is basically all we know about the new 9.2 gold making items. Now, we do know the new, like, kind of sub-profession that's being added, which kind of creates cosmetics, it creates the mounts and stuff, but we don't know exactly if those are going to be BOE or BOP, but of course, if those do end up being BOE, that can also be a good side hustle as well. Once again, we just do not know a ton of information about that or anything else. Now, just to quickly end this off, what can you guys do in order to utilize all of this information? Like I said before, with the new legendaries, definitely try to level them up if this is something you want to catch on with in 9.2, which means you will want to make sure you have a tailorer, blacksmith, leatherworker, and jewelry crafter leveled up with the rank 4 legendaries unlocked. Technically, you don't need the current vestige unless you want it, because technically you can skip all the way up to that rank 7. It's completely up to you. Also, if you're somebody who wants to utilize the new crafter's marks, you will want tailoring, blacksmithing, leatherworking, or jewel crafting either way, because yet again, those are the armor professions. So you will also want to have those on a level 60 that is ready to do the new content, because you will probably be having to do a rep grind in order to get those new recipes. Another big thing you can do is stockpiling materials. Now we know that we are getting a new vestige, which will be combined with the rank 4 current legendaries in order to create the rank 7. What this means is, callous hide, desolate leather, Elithium, or lightless silk is all going to be regularly used for legendaries because you need a rank 4 in order to craft a rank 7. So that is bound for these material prices to go up because less people in Korthia, less people in the general Shadowlands world, a lot more people in the new 9.2 map, which means a lot less, materials floating around. So definitely, if you find cheap materials, especially like green ores, for example, which are very zone specific, definitely pick some of those up because I doubt they will be in Zereth Mortis. Little things like that is definitely a very good way in order to prep for 9.2. Also, if you have an inscriptionist, getting it to level 60 in order to do the new raid for the Vantis rune, and to get revered with a reputation for the contract can be very useful, and also just having an alchemy that's ready to level up their alchemy for the new potion, and same with cooking. The last thing you can do is just, in general, have all of the professions ready to you. People will still need novice gear, people will still need all the other potions, all of the other enchants, and so on, so having the most professions possible is definitely beneficial. Also, the, enchanting, alchemy, engineering, and jewel crafting will have those new optional reagents, which will be interesting to see how worth it they are. Then, lastly, the thing you can do is just prep your characters. If you are somebody who does raw gold with alts, or you do, the mission table or something, prep those characters for 9.2 to get them through the story, to get them what they need to do in order to just make the most gold possible. But yeah, guys, I hope this kind of helps. Of course, if you guys haven't already, joined the Discord down below. That is where we talk about this stuff, and you can ask your more in-depth questions. Of course, you can ask them in the comments below as well, and I'll get back to you as soon as possible. But thank you guys so much for watching. Let me know how you think of 9.2, what you are planning to do, and yeah. Thank you guys so much for watching, and have a good day.